So what's up everybody, welcome back once again to my channel, and today we're going to do a little weekend recap. Now the weekend in question that I'm talking about actually was about 2 weeks ago. I just didn't have time to make this video yet, but I want to talk about what was it like drumming for Leonardo Fuentes, Bishop Rivera, and Hennessey Campos. So that weekend I actually had the privilege of drumming with all three. Now, first I want to talk about drumming for Leo Fuentes. Now, Leo Fuentes is the worship leader and a worship pastor at Elim Los Angeles Church. And I've known him for, I think the past like 10 years now. And my experience with him has been honestly pretty great. I see him as a friend, as a mentor, as a role model, as a leader. And the opportunities that he has given me as a drummer and the opportunities to record in a few albums for the church. And I've been super grateful for these opportunities that he has given me. Now his style of worship is super creative and he likes to mix things up with older songs, some of the newer songs that we have recorded. And I've noticed that he just likes to keep you on your toes. He'll keep things fresh most of the time, and he'll try to throw these songs maybe that we haven't played in a while, or especially some of the newer songs that we've been rehearsing, and he just wants to make sure that you know what you're doing. And I'm gonna go over playing with confidence just a little bit later. But again, he's the one that I've been drumming with the longest. We've gone out to different cities here in California. And on Saturday, October 1st, I had once again the privilege to drum with him. Now we did only play 2 songs, we were supposed to play 3, but time kind of ran short, and we were supposed to play with sequence as well, but we didn't have a chance to do that. But still, the opportunity arose. He sang his 2 songs, we played with him, and it was an awesome experience. Now on that same night, I also had the privilege to drum with Bishop Rivera. He's famous for songs like Enemigos de la Fe. He's famous for songs like Flechas.
This song is called Flechas. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, let's go! Oh my God. Yo subiré al monte de Jehová te sacaré. ¿Cómo dice?
La Mesa.
Y él preparará mesa delante de mis enemigos. Yo cenaré y me...
And we've sang a few of his songs at our church actually. Now he's a super chill guy, super humble, and he made things really easy for us. We had rehearsed for that Saturday actually a few weekends prior, but he was unable to show up. You know, he lives in another city. So we were playing almost with like backtracks, but when he sings, he doesn't sing with backtracks. And that is sometimes like a breath of fresh air, because at our church, you know, we're so used to playing with sequences and backtrack, which I think is an important skill for every drummer to learn. But it's nice sometimes when you don't have to play with the backtrack, and because we had never played with him before, we rehearsed about 10 minutes before the event. We kind of got some things down, we kind of understood some signals, like hand signals when directors are singing. They give us some sort of signals. And his signals were different than the ones that we use at our church. But I think we got the hang of it fairly quickly, and we ended up playing about 15 minutes with him. And to actually stay on the topic of Hennessey churches, Hennessey Campos also sang that night. Now, I didn't drum with her that night, I actually drummed with her the following day, because there was actually a situation with her drummer that he unfortunately got into a car accident. But he was okay. We talked to a few of the people that she took, and he was fine, but they just didn't have a drummer for that weekend. Now they did have a few events kind of lined up for them, and the following day, the following Sunday, October 2nd, they had a church out in Orange County. And so the drummer that night, he's actually the drummer of Juan Carlos Alvarado. And I had the pleasure to meet him in person. He was a really cool guy, really humble. He had just flown in from Guatemala the night before. All the gear that he was using was borrowed, so all the gear that we were using was borrowed as well. But it's super cool. We made it happen. We made everything work. And he actually ended up drumming with Hennessey Campos and her group that night. And one of the things that he told me, and this is the way that he learns songs, the way that he studies songs, even when he plays live, what he does, and I'm probably gonna put like an image on screen now, is taking basically musical notes, but for the drums. Now, the way I write notes, it's not like this. I write notes in my own way, the way that I understand. But he was writing it in the same way, with stabs and like notes, quarter notes, whole notes, half notes, rests, repeats. And it looks very similar to like a sheet of music that you would see maybe for piano players, guitar players, any sort of musician basically that reads music. He was doing the same thing. And about like 5 minutes before the event now, he was recording an album that same night. He was recording an album for Tita and Quique. He also was playing with Juan Carlos Alvarado. And then last minute they asked him to drum for Hennessey's Campos. Now, I admired that because I wouldn't have been able to do that. They asked me now to play the next day, so I still had a few hours the night before and the following day to go over the songs. They actually sent me like a rough set list of what they wanted to sing. And again, for the people that go to our church in Elim, we've heard most of their songs. We've played some of their songs, so I was very familiar. Now, he wasn't. This was brand new music to him. This was just, it was new content for him. And he was sitting there listening to the backtracks, because she does play with backtrack and sequence, and he was writing notes. And he made it work, man. He's a professional. I take my hat off to him again. And again, I'm gonna go over a few things towards the end of this video, and basically takeaways that I got from this experience, from this weekend of drumming with just a variety of different people with different personalities and different stage presences as well. So that following Sunday, once again, we went to another church with Hennessey's Campos, and we rehearsed for about maybe half an hour. We got through most of the songs. Now, luckily for me, I've played with sequence. That was actually one of the things that her musical director, Danny, he actually asked my brother, because my brother actually played bass with her the night before as well. And he said, yeah, he's been playing with sequence for like almost the past 10 years, almost the whole time that I knew Leo. I actually have a funny story about that. And he's like, and cool, yeah, as long as he knows how to play with sequence, I think he got this. So we rehearsed, we went over some of the songs. We went over like the small details, because she does, Hennessey's Campos does lead from the piano. So she had some hand signals and some body movements that just allowed me to see what she wanted to do next, what part of the song we were gonna do. And again, she just made it really easy for us. So now when it comes to like my takeaways from all of this, even though with Bishop Rivera and with Hennessey's Campos, I was only able to play with them for basically one service over the course of a weekend. And with Leo Fuentes, I've again drummed with him for the past almost decade. My takeaways is this. So one, I know that by studying the music, studying and doing your homework, especially if you have an event coming up, right? That is so important. It's so crucial. Make sure you rehearse. Make sure you take time out of your day to rehearse. If you don't have a full drum kit, rehearse at church, rehearse at school, wherever you can find one, because I think it's super crucial, super just necessary to drum on a full kit. It could be electric, it could be acoustic, it doesn't matter. And I would recommend even setting up the way that you're gonna play that day, because you don't want to set up, let's say for example, a drum set with one rack tom and two floor toms, when you normally play with two rack toms and one floor tom, and then maybe 2 or 3 cymbals, and then you're only gonna practice with the one. It's muscle memory. It's setting up your body. It's rehearsing and making sure that you memorize the song, but also when it comes to certain fills or certain hits, you're not gonna miss a cymbal or miss a tom because you didn't rehearse in that way. So that's one. Make sure you rehearse, study, do your homework. I make my notes completely different. I'll probably put an example right now of how I write my notes, but this is for me. This is for my eyes to see. I'm not making these for someone else to see and be like, hey, learn it this way, because it's not the right way. It's my way of doing it, right? But you have to find your way of doing it. You have to find your way of taking the notes and understanding certain sections of a song, especially if it's a brand new song, right? If it's older songs, I don't think you need to take notes, because there's songs that you already play, especially if you're playing with sequence and there's an order of the song. You should know how to play these songs. So that's one. Take notes, do your homework, study the songs. 2, play with confidence. Now, this is something that I've learned to do, I would say, maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little less. Now, I've been drumming for about 17 years. And my level of drumming really didn't grow until I actually got to Elim Church. I was a part of another smaller church here in LA, and when that church closed down, my family and I were looking for churches. We landed on Elim. We fell in love with the church. We stayed. Now, we were already musicians, right? My brothers and I, even my dad who sings. And immediately we got involved with the choir. We got involved with the youth band, my brothers and I, and then eventually we started playing with the Grupo General with Leo, and that's where I started to see growth, because I saw all these different drummers playing at our church. I learned from them. I studied them. I tried to sometimes even mimic them, right? And I just saw what they did. I also love to see other drummers on YouTube, just people who posting on Instagram, and I see what they do. Now, my downfall is that I'm not a fast drummer. Now, I don't have speed. I didn't study drumline, right? I wish I did. But what I do have is that I hit pretty hard, and I like playing confidently. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm the best drummer, right? Because there's some pretty bad drummers out there that play confidently, and they kind of make it look good. They make it work. But if you don't play confidently, if you don't play with intention, then people are going to notice. They're going to see that. And you might not be a bad drummer, but people are going to start thinking that. They're going to think he doesn't play with intention. He doesn't play with confidence. And again, what I noticed that night, we were all nervous, right? The night of the event on October 1st, we were all nervous. Now, we weren't even recording. Let me tell you that. We weren't recording. But even on nights where we're recording, right, where we've rehearsed over and over again for months, you get nervous. But if you have notes with you, right, especially for songs that you don't know, if you have notes, if you have a set list, if you're familiar with the person singing, with the worship leader, for example, like with Leo, we can go out somewhere tomorrow night, right, and he'll be like, all right, here's 30 songs we're gonna play. Boom, I'll be good, right, because I'm familiar with him. But if there's a situation where overnight, their drummer gets in an accident, like with Hennessey's Campos, and they ask me, hey, like, can you drum tonight? I might worry, right? I might have some problems. I might make it happen. I might make it work. But like, they told me to drum for the next day, right? But for the other drummer, they told him on the spot. He played confident, man. I couldn't even tell that he didn't know the songs until after I told him, man, you rocked out, man. He's like, I don't even know half of what I was playing, because he had never heard these songs before, right? And sometimes you're going to be put in situations like that. But you have to play confidently. Play confidently and be sure of what you're doing, and people are going to notice. And I would say the last thing is just be open-minded about all these things, right? Some of these things happen like so quickly. For playing with Bishop Barrio, we knew a few weeks in advance that we were going to play with him, so we had a set list. We knew what songs we were going to do. We even rehearsed a few weekends, took time out of our days to rehearse, right? So we felt pretty good about that. But it was someone that we had never played with before, right? It was a brand new worship leader, and I've had those days where I go to a church, they invite me to a church, and they're like, hey man, like, we need a drummer this weekend, can you help out? And I'll be like, yeah, for sure, if I'm available, I'll go. I'm more than happy to help out. And they send me a list, and half the songs I don't know, right? But I look them up, or I ask questions, and I'm just like, hey, I just want to make sure I got this song right. If there's something special that the director likes to do, either certain stops or certain hand signals, right? Ask these questions. Be open to different things, because, for example, at our church, this means verse, this means chorus, this means bridge, this is funny, this means intro, outro, or trumpets, or brass, or interlude, or something. Now, at other churches, for example, like with the Benecer, they would do, this is a disco beat, or like a ritmo Leo, I think they called it. This was like a rock beat, if I'm not mistaken. And then this was like jubilo, or something like that. I might have gotten mixed up. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But you have to be open to these things, right? I can't tell them, sorry, I know it this way, so you have to do it this way. No, like, you have to be open to just following them, knowing that that you know, like it's not something that you're used to, but showing them that, hey, you know what, I'm willing to, this is something new, I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to just follow along with you guys. And people are going to be super appreciative of that, and they're going to see that you're willing, right, that you're open, and yeah, they're going to take that into account. So that was my weekend 2 weekends ago. Actually, I meant to put this video out just a little bit earlier, but busy with work, busy with school, forgive me. But I do have some amazing content coming out for you guys in the future. So I got some more drum covers. If there's any questions, concerns that you guys have, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them for you guys. If you guys know me personally, feel free to just shoot me a text, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'll put it right here on screen. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.